Is your debt really your fault? Or was it designed that way? What if I told you that the very institution created to stabilize our economy may actually thrive when you're stuck paying interest? Today, we're diving into the Federal Reserve's secret playbook, uncovering how this powerful institution has shaped a system that makes it nearly impossible for the average American to escape debt. By the end of this video, you'll know how the Fed works, why debt has become the new form of control, and most important, Part 1, Hidden History. The Fed was never federal. Let's take a trip back to the winter of 1913. While Americans were out buying fruitcakes and rocking around Christmas trees, something massive was happening behind closed doors in Washington. On December 23rd, just 2 days before Christmas, when most lawmakers had already left town, Congress quietly passed the Federal Reserve Act. No fireworks, no headlines. Just a quiet signature by President Woodrow Wilson, and boom, the birth of what would become the most powerful financial institution in the world. Now, you'd think with a name like Federal Reserve, this thing is government-run, right? Wrong. Dead wrong. The truth is, the Federal Reserve isn't federal. It's not even a reserve. It's a private banking cartel run by unelected officials with almost zero transparency and no accountability to you, me, or even Congress. In fact, the Fed is owned by, wait for it, member banks. That's right, the very institutions that profit when you go into debt. Let that sink in for a second. Visual metaphor, picture this. Imagine if Visa and MasterCard got together, created their own rules, and then handed them to the U.S. Treasury and said, "Here, that's how much money you're allowed to print this year. And oh yeah, we'll loan it to you and charge you interest on it." Sounds ridiculous. That's basically how the Federal Reserve works. They don't just create money, they lend it to the U.S. government, who then passes the bill to taxpayers. So what changed after 1913? A lot. Before the Fed, the U.S. followed a system tied to gold and silver, which meant the dollar had a physical limit. But with the Fed's creation, that tether slowly started to disappear. Especially in 1971, when President Nixon cut the gold standard completely. From that moment on, money became just digital promises, fiat currency. No gold, no backing, just faith. And what happens when money is unlimited? Debt becomes the fuel. Here's a brutal fact. Since the Fed was created in 1913, the U.S. dollar has lost over 96% of its purchasing power. What cost $1 in 1913 now costs nearly $30. In other words, your dollars get weaker every year by design. Some say that's just inflation. But ask yourself, who benefits from inflation? Banks do. Wall Street does. The government does. Because every dollar printed out of thin air makes your savings worth less and your debt more profitable for them. Let's say your grandfather made $2 a day and bought a loaf of bread for 5 cents. You make $200 a day, but your rent, gas, food, and taxes eat up $180 of that. Who's actually richer? The guy with less income but real purchasing power, or the guy with more income and way more debt? Punchline: the creation of the Fed wasn't just a historical footnote. It was the start of a new economic order, one where money isn't earned, it's manipulated, where the average American isn't just a citizen, but a permanent borrower. And guess what? That's exactly how they like it. So how does this debt engine actually work? How do interest rates and credit cards keep you spinning your wheels while Let's look under the hood in Part 2, the debt machine, how the Fed keeps you hooked. Okay, now that we know the Fed isn't really federal, let's talk about the machine it helped build. Because if the system is a casino, then you're not the house, you're the gambler, and the house always wins. So how does this machine actually work? It's built on 3 levers: 1, interest rates; 2, credit expansion; 3, consumer psychology. Let's break it down. 1, interest rates, the invisible remote control. Every time the Fed adjusts interest rates, it's like pulling the throttle on the economy. Drop rates, boom, cheap money, people borrow more. Raise rates, suddenly your credit card and mortgage get way more expensive. Real-world example, let's say you bought a $400,000 home at 3% interest in 2021. Your monthly mortgage, about $1,700. Now fast forward to 2024 and rates are at 7%. That same house now costs you over $2,600 a month, $900 more just in interest. That's not inflation, that's financial leverage controlled by the Fed, and the wildest part, they can change it with a sentence. We are raising rates to combat inflation. Boom, Wall Street shakes, your mortgage quote jumps, too. Easy credit, addicted to borrowing. Now let's talk about how easy credit keeps you locked in. Americans are drowning in $1 trillion in credit card debt, $7 trillion in student loans, over $12 trillion in mortgage and auto loans. You know who made this possible? A system that encourages debt as a way of life. Remember the 2000s. Credit card offers came in your mail every week. Pre-approved, no interest for 12 months, buy now, worry later. And it worked. The average American household carries over $6,000 in revolving credit card debt, with an average interest rate over 20%. That's not a mistake. That's intentional design. 3. Behavioral control, the psychological trap. Here's where it gets sneaky. Debt doesn't just trap your wallet, it traps your mindset. The Fed's policies help create an environment where you feel good spending what you don't have. You feel guilty saving when inflation eats your cash. You feel helpless watching your paycheck disappear to payments. Psychology example. Ever notice how car ads say just $299 a month? They never mention total cost, because they're selling monthly affordability, not long-term freedom. And guess what keeps monthly payments affordable? Low interest rates, courtesy of the Fed, and long-term loans that stretch your debt into decades. The refinancing trap, resetting your clock. This one's subtle and dangerous. You buy a home, you get a 30-year loan. 5 years in, you refinance to save money. Boom, new 30-year loan. You just added 5 more years of interest to your life. Banks love this. The Fed really loves this. You stay on the hook longer and they keep collecting. It's the hamster wheel economy. You run faster, they move the finish line. The illusion of ownership. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most Americans don't actually own their homes. They own mortgages. Most don't own their cars, they lease them. Most don't own peace of mind. They rent it through monthly payments. And as long as you're stuck chasing bills, refinancing loans, and praying your credit score holds, you're not financially free. You're just financial. Coming up, Part 3, Behavioral Economics, how the system trains you to stay broke. You ever wonder why smart people still make dumb financial decisions? People with degrees, good jobs, solid incomes. Yet they're living paycheck to paycheck, drowning in interest payments. It's not a lack of intelligence. It's not even always about income. It's behavioral economics, and trust me, the system knows your brain better than you do. What is behavioral economics anyway? It's the science of how people actually make decisions, especially when it comes to money. And here's the secret the banks, credit card companies, and yes, even the Federal Reserve understand. People don't make financial decisions with logic. We make them with emotion, convenience, and fear. Example 1, notifications that manipulate. Have you ever gotten a notification from your bank app that said, "You spent $122 more than usual on food this week. Want help budgeting?" Seems helpful, right? But look closer, that app isn't there to help you save. It's designed to make you spend smarter, which often means spend more. Because many free fintech apps, they're owned or funded by banks and credit companies. Their goal isn't to help you escape debt, it's to help you manage it just well enough that you never leave. Example 2, the latte lie. How many times have you heard? You'd be rich if you just stopped buying $5 lattes every day. Spoiler, that's not your biggest problem. Here's the truth they're avoiding. Cutting coffee saves $100 a month. But your car payment, credit card interest, or student loan is eating 1,000 plus. So why do gurus focus on your morning coffee? Because it shifts blame to you. It makes debt feel like a personal failure, not a systemic trap. Example 3, credit score equals behavior score. Let's talk about the almighty credit score. Sounds neutral, right? Just a number, but think again. Your credit score isn't just about how much debt you have. It's about how well you behave while carrying it. Pay your card in full every month, your score can go down. Carry a small balance and pay interest, your score goes up. Why? Because the system rewards profitable behavior, not smart behavior. Translation: if you act like a financially independent person, you get punished. If you act like a reliable borrower, you get promoted. That's not financial advice. That's financial conditioning, the illusion of freedom. Here's how the system keeps you thinking you're free while keeping you on a leash. You're approved. Sounds like opportunity. Cashback rewards feel like a win. 12 months no interest feels like you're beating the system. But behind every shiny reward is a hook. Like a dog learning tricks for treats, they give you just enough perks to keep you coming back. But they never open the gate. Real-life scenario, Jason's trap. Let's meet Jason. He's 32, makes $70,000 a year, great job, decent apartment, drives a new Honda Civic. But $1,200 month goes to rent, $450 to his car, $300 to student loans, $500 to credit cards. Add groceries, subscriptions, gas. Jason's left with maybe $100 a month on a good month. He's not lazy, he's not reckless, he's just playing by the rules of a game rigged against him. Punchline: the real economy is behavioral. The Fed doesn't need to force you into debt. It just needs to create the conditions where you choose it. Create a culture of convenience. Feed you apps that feel empowering. Normalize 72-month car loans. Convince you that credit equals confidence. And you'll stay broke willingly. Because when behavior becomes predictable, control becomes invisible. So now you see how the Fed and the system use your own psychology against you. But here's the big question: can you fight back and win? Yes. But you'll need real strategies, not just motivation. Coming up, Part 4, Escape the Debt Trap. Real tactics you can use. All right, we've seen how the Fed's policies shape a system built on debt. We've seen how behavioral tricks keep us hooked. Now let's flip the script. You don't need to be a millionaire, you don't need a finance degree, but you do need a plan, because escaping the trap isn't about getting rich, it's about getting free. First, stop playing by their rules. Let's start with this. If the system profits when you're in debt, then your power lies in becoming unprofitable to them. That doesn't mean going off the grid or burning your credit cards. It means understanding the rules and bending them in your favor. Tactic 1, use credit, don't let it use you. Credit isn't evil, but interest is where they get you. Here's what to do: pay in full every month. If you can't, stop spending on the card until you can. Never chase points or cashback if you're paying interest. 2% cashback is worthless if you're paying 20% APR. Set auto pay for the full balance, not just the minimum. Remember, minimum payments are minimum traps. Example: if you owe $5,000 at 20% APR and only pay the minimum, right arrow, you'll be in debt for over 20 years and pay back double what you borrowed. That's sale you swiped your card for. Welcome to the most expensive shoes you'll ever wear. Tactic 2, freeze lifestyle creep. You get a raise, great, but somehow you're still broke. Why? It's called lifestyle creep, and it's the enemy of freedom. Here's the fix. When your income increases, don't increase your spending. Instead, increase your gap, the space between what you earn and what you keep. Tip: for every raise, commit 50% to savings or debt paydown. Enjoy the other 50%. That way you grow without getting trapped. Tactic 3, build a financial iceberg. Most people live above the waterline, what they show the world: the house, the car, the phone, the "I'm doing great" Instagram posts. But freedom is built under the surface, in things nobody sees: emergency funds, debt paid off, compound interest growing quietly. Start with $1,000 starter emergency fund, so the next crisis doesn't go on a credit card. Then build to 3-6 months of expenses. Keep it boring. Boring is safe, boring is rich. Tactic 4, destroy one debt at a time. If you're juggling multiple debts, the chaos feels paralyzing. Here's the cure: focus. 2 proven methods: 1, debt snowball, pay off the smallest balance first. Builds momentum. 2, debt avalanche, pay off the highest interest rate first. Saves money long-term. Pick the one that keeps you going. Emotion math when it comes to consistency. Example: let's say you have $500 on a credit card, 22%. $3,000 on a personal loan, 12%. $8,000 on a car loan, 6%. Pay minimums on everything. Then throw every extra dollar at the credit card. When that's gone, take that freed up cash and hit the next one. Each debt you destroy is a chain you break. Tactic 5, invest in income, not status. Remember Jason from Part 3. He makes $70K but has nothing to show for it because he's paying for things that look good but lose value. The way out? Invest in assets that make you money, not impress people. Start simple. A Roth IRA or 401k, especially if there's a match. A side hustle that fits your skills. Learning to sell, code, fix things, or teach online. Every dollar you invest in cash flow or knowledge pays dividends later. Final mindset shift: stop thinking in payments. Here's how they trick you. Only $199 a month. Just $89 bi-weekly. 0% APR for 18 months. It sounds affordable, but it's a language of slavery. Start asking, what's the total cost? How long will I be paying for this? Is it worth 100 hours of my time? Stop thinking like a borrower, start thinking like an owner. Punchline. Freedom is a choice, but it's not an easy one. No one's coming to rescue you, but that's actually good news, because once you stop waiting for permission, you start taking back control. Freedom doesn't come. Coming up next, Part 5, what real freedom looks like and why the system fears it. Let's be real, in America, freedom is sold to us as a car, a house, and a flag. But the truth, real freedom has no monthly payments. It doesn't come in 36 installments, and it sure as hell doesn't come with a 700 credit score. So what is real financial freedom? It's not yachts, it's not Bitcoin, it's options. The option to walk away from a toxic job, the option to care for your aging parents without panic, the option to say no and mean it. Freedom is the ability to breathe without checking your balance first. It's the confidence of knowing that your bills are paid, your time is yours, and your money works for you, not the other way around. Why the system fears this? Here, what they won't tell you. A financially free person is hard to manipulate. You can't scare them with layoffs. You can't tempt them with 0% financing. You can't control them with credit limits. You become less profitable and more dangerous. And let me tell you something. The system doesn't need you to be poor. It just needs you to be too busy, too tired, and too broke to ask questions. That's why financial literacy isn't taught in schools. That's why taxes are complicated. That's why credit is glorified and debt is normalized. Because when you're trapped, you're predictable. And when you're predictable, you're easy to monetize. The quiet rebels. But more and more people are waking up. Not with pitchforks and protest signs, but with spreadsheets, savings accounts, and side hustles. The single mom paying off $30K in credit cards, one snowball at a time. The mechanic who lives below his means and owns 2 rental properties. The teacher who maxes out her Roth IRA before buying new shoes. They're not flashy. They're not loud. But make no mistake, they're revolutionaries. Because in a culture that worships consumption, choosing simplicity is a radical act. Freedom is built, not given. You won't find it in a stimulus check. You won't win it in the lottery. Real freedom is built brick by boring brick. Every debt you pay off equals a brick. Every emergency fund equals a brick. Every dollar you invest in yourself equals another brick. It's slow, it's quiet, but one day you look up and you've built something solid, a life that's yours. Punchline: the system needs you to be a consumer. You can choose to be a creator. You weren't born to make payments. You weren't put here to serve interest. You're here to live, to grow, to create, and to own your time. That's the ultimate flex in 2025. Not the newest iPhone, not the biggest truck, but the power to say, I don't owe anyone anything. If this message hit home for you, don't keep it to yourself. Hit the like button so more people can find this truth. Share this video with someone stuck in the debt loop. And subscribe, because we're building a tribe of people who choose freedom over finance tricks. Question for the audience. What does freedom mean to you, and what are you doing today to get there? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's start a real conversation, because the system is watching, but so are we. You can't change the game until you understand how it's